Good morning, everybody. I felt the urge this morning to talk to you about some of the great mentors in my life. People that helped to shape me, helped shape the way I thought. And some of those mentors also were books. So, books that I read when I was really young. And I think back of how we got to where we are in life, and I have to believe that a great deal of credit goes to others. There's a song we used to sing when I was a kid in school, and I'll tell you more about the school in a minute. But it says, somebody follows you watching the things you do. And I think that's really true. That's why we need to be careful that we try to be an example, somebody that others can follow, because there's somebody out there watching, and you have no idea. Somebody that really looks up to you. I have no idea who might be following me. Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody. I went to a little one-room schoolhouse in North Carolina, where I lived the first 20 years of my life, and we had one teacher, all 8 grades in one room. And one of the things, and I had the same teacher pretty well the whole way through school. And then when you got to be, in them days, in the community we lived in, in the world we lived in, when you got to be old enough to go to work, you finished the 8th grade, they kicked you out of school and you went to work. You were expected to go to work. School didn't provide high school. There was a correspondence course offered, but I didn't do it. I just went to work. Later on, I went and got my GED, but pretty much left school with an 8th grade education. But I'm convinced of one thing: my education was better in 8th grades than some people's are that come out of college. There may be parts of it that I didn't get, but there's a whole lot of common sense that ain't common. I'll tell you that right now. The teacher I had was an incredible lady. She was what we called a spinster lady back then, or an old maid. She never got married, and she taught school for years and years. And she was a really great example on how to live. But one of the things I think all of her students really excelled at was reading. And she was really hard on us about reading with expression, reading with cadence, learning to read, observe all of the commas and periods, read in a way that was interesting to listen to. And I really notice that now in people, that if I'm around them and they're reading, especially in church or someplace, some people read really well, some people read really bad. And I always appreciated the fact that she was really hard on us for our reading style. Of course, other things too: math, English, science, what we called social studies, which they would maybe call history now. I walked to school about 3/4 of a mile. But one of the things that happened to me last year, I was back in North Carolina visiting my father, and during church I have to admit, I was just a little bit bored with the service, and so I got up and went out to the graveyard and visited with my mother there a little bit. She's been buried there for 20 some years, and a bunch of other old people that I just had such fantastic memories of. People that I looked up to, and then it dawned on me how much impact some of these people had. My grandfather is one, and one of the things I want to do soon here is I want to start telling some stories from my childhood I'm going to start with the stories about my grandfather, I think, and we'll try to make short videos so you don't get too bored with it. But some of the things that helped to shape me as a human being and my belief system. So I think if you're out there and you have someone in your life that was a mentor, be thankful for that, because there's people who grow up with really bad mentors, and those of us that were lucky enough to have mom and dad or a grandpa or an uncle or an aunt, and I could sit here and name a dozen or more people that when I was even young that would have had a real good impact on me. So be thankful for that. Count your blessings, because we're not, the scripture says that no man lives to himself and no man dies to himself. So it's not just us here in a little bubble. I'm drinking coffee this morning from something my son sent me. It says Fence and Field. That's his business over in Great Falls. Thanks for listening.